Hi, my name is Karen and I'm a mixed media artist from Perth, Western Australia. I'm excited and thrilled that I've been given the opportunity to share my passion for art with you and my perspective on art. And hopefully with this interview you'll get to know me a little bit better. So I'll jump straight into answering the questions. What are some of the things that nourish your soul and where do your ideas come from? For me, I'm a very visual person, so pretty simply, I get all my ideas and inspiration from what's happening on around me, from everyday life. In particular, I'm drawn to things that are shabby and worn and rustic. I love texture. That's a big thing for me. That's usually the springboard for a lot of ideas is when I see something that has heaps of texture to it. I also really love looking through magazines that feature country living. I think what I love about it is there's such a homely kind of feeling that you get from that kind of country vibe, and also shabbiness and worn things and wood and texture feature fairly heavily, I think, in things that are country. Certainly Australian country anyway. I'm drawn to pretty things, so scenery and flowers and birds. I love colour and pattern, particularly, aquas and teals and pinks and yellows and oranges. And whilst I like bright colours, I also prefer them to be maybe a little bit warmer or a little bit lighter as opposed to really bold and bright. That's pretty much where my main inspiration comes. Like I said, I'm a visual person. I don't necessarily listen to a song or read a poem or a book and be inspired in that way. For me, my springboard is definitely from things that I see around me, in magazines, photos, TV, Pinterest. That's really where my main inspiration comes from. But the thing I guess really love is texture, and that features fairly heavily in my artwork. It's my springboard. Okay, so next question. What is one piece of advice you'd like to share with other artists? I think if you're an artist who is maybe still struggling with trying to find your voice or your style or who you are as an artist, my advice to you is learn to become your own biggest fan. And by that I mean your starting point should be creating artwork that you love, that you would want to hang up on your wall, that you would be happy to sit and flick through your art journal and just really enjoy what you're looking at. How to do that, how to become your own biggest fan. What I do is all my decisions that I make, from the subject matter, the process, techniques, colour, the medium I use, they're all based on making decisions as to what I like and what I don't like. So at the end of the day, I'm always making decisions and creating artwork that I love, that visually appeals to me, that has meaning to me. It's what I like. I think no two people think the same. So if you're always making decisions based on what you like, instead of what you think somebody else will like, or what you think you should be painting or how you should be painting, I think you will start to see your style develop, because it will be all based on what you love. I think far too often, and I've been caught in this trap as well, we're our own worst enemy and our own worst critic, and we can get worried about what other people are going to think about our artwork, whether they're going to like it, whether they're going to approve of it, will they understand it. We compare You know, someone's work might be better than ours, or in our opinion better. Um, or maybe, you know, their skill level is greater, or they have more success, and we sit there and we want what they have. And then I think we stop paying attention to what it is we're all about. And to me, that is all about your ego getting in the way and blocking you. And it can stop you from really enjoying art and creating art that is authentically your own. Example, many years ago, probably maybe 10 years ago, I had picked up my sketchbook and my pencils from having a bit of a hiatus, and I was really enthusiastic. I'd gotten back into my sketching and drawing, and I was teaching myself new things, and I was really pleased with the work that I was doing, because it was a step up from where I'd been before. And previously I'd never shown my work to anybody, but I was really happy with what I've been doing, and I thought, oh, I'll share it with some other people. And so I did. And there was one particular person, who shall remain nameless, who I showed my work to, and she criticised it. She picked all the holes in it. You know, I was aware that it wasn't perfect. I knew there were things I needed to work on, but she honed right in on those, and she didn't have anything really nice to say, and all she did was criticise. And I remember in the moment feeling completely humiliated, completely deflated, and any goodness that I had felt for these pieces all of a sudden just became tainted. And after she left, I closed up my sketchbooks, I packed up my pencils, and I put them away, and I didn't do any art for probably 7 years. It was about 3 years ago that I started to get back into art, all because of one person's opinion. Because sadly, I let somebody else's opinion rob me of the love and enjoyment that I had for art, because I took their criticism personally, and I took it to heart, and I started to believe that I wasn't any good. And that's the danger, I think, is when you start to try to do work and try to create art for other people and for the approval of other people. And when you start to look at other people's work and you start to compare yourself, it can suck the joy right out of your work. So my advice is, be your own biggest fan. Love your work as long as you love it and you're happy with it and it brings you an enjoyment. Anything else beyond that is just really a bonus, an icing on the cake. And if someone else loves it, that's great, but that shouldn't be why you're doing it. Make sure that you're doing it for yourself and you're doing what you love. Okay, so next question. What drives your sense of validation or legitimacy as an artist? I think probably carrying on from my previous answer, for a while there, I think I thought validation would come with other people liking my work and other people wanting to buy my work. Wow, if someone bought my artwork, complete validation, I'm an artist, I must be good. And the truth is, for me, when I actually did the first painting where everything was completely 100% authentically my own, and I looked at the painting and went, I know what my style is now. I know who I am as an artist. That was my validation. And it didn't matter whether somebody else would like it enough to buy it. I was just able to identify who I was as an artist. That was huge. And that was all the validation that I really needed. Pretty simple. Next question. What are some elements that makes your work yours? What are some recurring themes? Well, my style is, you'll see it features texture. Love texture. Sort of very worn, shabby, a little bit rustic, but it's not grungy or dark or graffiti-like. I'm more that sort of shabby chic, whitewash, softer, lighter colours, but just lots of texture, scratching, I scratch into my work, and yeah, I don't like flat colour. It has to be sort of different kind of shades and lots of sort of things happening in the background and in my work. So texture is definitely one thing you will see. I also tend to use a similar colour palette in a lot of my paintings. Your blue or aqua features heavily. Pink and yellow and green and a little bit of orange and maybe a little bit of red, but predominantly it's the aqua or blues or pinks, that sort of those softer but still pretty colours that I will gravitate towards. When it comes to theme, my starting point is always from reality. So everything that I paint has to make sense to me. There has to be a grounding in something that's real. So even though sometimes my style can be a little bit whimsical, and I'm not painting necessarily realistic things, the subject matter is realistic. So flowers in a vase, birds, landscapes, lighthouses, even my abstract pieces that I have, they're based on landscapes. So there's always some sense of something tangible or real that is the springboard for my artwork. And that's pretty much, I think that's pretty much, so texture, shabby, pretty and realistic themes is what is my style, with a little bit of abstract, whimsical abstract twisted in there. And lastly, what creative medium would you love to pursue but haven't yet? Honestly, I don't know that there really is anything in particular. I think I've tried so many different things in the past. Quilting, sewing, crocheting, paper scrapbooking, digital scrapbooking, card making. I mean, I tried all sorts of things because I had this creative urge, but they never really filled the void that was my true love of art. So I think the only thing I could probably say is that when I was younger, teenager, I always wanted to be an interior designer. And I would say there's probably a little bit of me that's still, maybe is an unfulfilled dream. Maybe possibly I could pursue that, I suppose. But really I'm pretty content with what I'm doing now, and there's not really anything else that I want to pursue at this time anyway. So that's it. That's me kind of in a quick nutshell.